Hello friends. Have you ever been in a situation where you feel you're doing a job, you're in a career, you're invested in something, and you're putting a lot of your time, effort and energy into it, but you have this nagging feeling that this is not the right thing for you to be doing? So this is a short video about why you should ask why and how that can help you find your purpose. So the technique is asking why 3 times, and I discovered this very handy way of going about things when I was reading a book called Maverick by Ricardo Semler. So Semler is a Brazilian businessman, and he took over a company from his father. He turned it into one of the most productive companies in Brazil, to the point where people come from countries all over the world just to see how this company Semco actually works. And it's so unusual because employees have an enormous amount of freedom, and he's very, very innovative in the way he does things. And he describes what he did when he took over the business from his father. He took each part of the business and he asked himself why 3 times, and he decided that if he could answer those 3 questions, why things were done in a certain way in this part of the business, then he would keep that part of the business as it was. And if he couldn't answer those 3 questions, those 3 why questions, convincingly, then he would change that part of the business. And that's exactly what he did. And the business became incredibly successful and incredibly productive. So I was reading this book as I was traveling through France with a friend, and I'll never forget this day. I was sitting in a cafe, an outside street cafe, on a beautiful, bright spring day in Paris, waiting for my friend. And I was reading this book, and I just thought, well, okay, I'm going to try answering these 3 why questions for myself. So the first question I asked myself, I was looking around, and the place was full of people, and I just asked, why are there so many people out today? And I kept going, and I kept going, kept asking why. So I did more than 3 whys. I did, well, about an hour and a half later, my final question to myself was, why are you so scared of the transcendent? And that started me going down a rabbit hole of spiritual inquiry, which lasted for about 20 years, and thankfully it's still going. And in the interim, I'd written all over the newspaper that I had in front of me. I'd gone to a street vendor to try and find some more blank paper to write on. I'd borrowed a pen. These ideas were just coming thick and fast, all from continually asking this one why question. Now this does actually fit with a lot of prevailing management culture, because this idea of having a mission statement, this idea of starting with why in your business, trying to work out exactly what the aim of your business is going to be, making sure that you're actually traveling down the right road before you set off on your journey, is obviously extremely important to do. And there are going to be times in our lives when we have gone down a particular road and we realize instinctively that the directions are all wrong. That's not what we should be doing. So I've used this technique myself, and this is really how I suggest it can be used really effectively, is to work out what your mission is, what your purpose is. If you start asking yourself those 3 questions, then you'll get a fairly good idea. Now, when I was working in theatre, these 3 questions worked for me at that point. When I was working in education, those 3 questions worked for me. And now in my new role as a coach, they work for me as well. But there was a point where in each of those previous missions, if you like, or those previous incarnations, they stopped working. And that was what helped me understand that it was time for me to move on. Sometimes it's tempting for us to believe that we have one mission in life. We have one career. We have one purpose. The reality is that we change as we get older. Life changes, our circumstances change, and our sense of purpose and our sense of mission changes with that, and that's perfectly natural. So if you find yourself in this situation, if you can't quite work out why things don't feel right in the career that you're in, have a go at those 3 questions and see what you come up with.